Hello and welcome to Brand Your Passion, the show that helps you turn the thing you love the most into something that people know and love you for. I'm your host, Holly Arnett, the brand coach for creatives, and I'm on a mission to make the world a more creative place, one brand at a time. If you're ready to get more eyes on your work, more dollars in your pocket, and more creativity in your life, you're in the right place. Welcome. Let's brand your passion. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Brand Your Passion. I'm super excited today to be joined by the wonderful Sophie Timothy, aka Sister Scout. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Holly. So happy to be here.
I'm stoked that you are here. Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit to the people and tell them a bit about what you do?
Sure. So I'm 34 and I identify as female, and I live in Melbourne, in Victoria, in Australia. And I'm a branding and headshot photographer, primarily working with people who identify as female, who run their own businesses. And a lot of them are solo operators. In fact, like 90% of them are individuals, like your fine self. And I also run events for the community, the small business community, and have a directory on my website for good people doing good things called the Sister Scouthood. And this year I just started mentoring as well, some younger, well, not younger, actually, they're just sort of like photographers who are maybe a couple steps behind in their trajectory. So that's been fun too.
Cool, that's awesome. And have you always been creative?
I guess so, like not in an artistic sense. I think when I was 4 years old, I said I wanted to be an artist, but I am completely like terrible when it comes to actual visual arts. But I've always been into words and writing. So I actually, like, writing was my kind of first passion, and I went into journalism out of school.
Cool.
But then, I always loved photography. My parents gave me a digital camera when I was like 17. And then when I was 21, they gave me like an SLR, which was pretty exciting. And then I kind of decided I wanted to spend a bit of money and bought a good lens. And it became known as the hot lens because it made everyone look hot, because it had a lot of, like, because I had a low aperture, I could make the background blurry, and that was very exciting for people. So I sort of started, I guess, not properly, but like taking my camera everywhere at around that point, which was kind of early 20s, mid 20s. And then people started asking me to do stuff like shoot their weddings and take their headshots. And it was kind of weird because I was like, I have one lens, guys, like can't do much over here.
A little bit limited.
But I decided to run a Kickstarter in 2013 because I'd had enough people ask me to do weddings that I was like, well, if I want to shoot a wedding, I need at least 2 or 3 lenses to make it possible, and a much better system. So I like pre-sold some wedding coverage and some prints through Kickstarter and raised enough money to buy a better camera and some lenses, and that's kind of where it all started. So
amazing.
Yeah.
And so is that how Sister Scout began, or did that come a little bit later?
No. Yeah, so I started out shooting weddings because that seemed to be what people wanted me to do. And I guess I was in that age bracket. And weddings were kind of on trend. Is that a weird thing to say? But like, all the big wedding magazines, like the cool ones were coming out and people were having cool weddings and stuff. So I sort of started shooting weddings and then opened that out to families. But as I started thinking about having a baby, I was like, weddings not so flexible. They're like 12-hour days.
All your weekends gone.
All your weekends gone, like that kind of stuff. So I started thinking, what else do I want to do? And I guess I've always like loved the creative sort of vibe of Melbourne and all the small businesses here. And so I sort of launched a side business that was just under my name at that point, Sophie Timothy. And I contacted some of my favorite kind of artisans, like handcrafters and stuff. People who did like letterpress and macrame and those kind of people who had like physical workspaces and said like, can I just capture you like doing your thing? At first I just did it as a kind of free thing because I wanted to build out my portfolio. And then I very soon discovered that a lot of crafters don't have much money and don't want to invest in good photography. So they were all happy to have free shoots. But I think, it was interesting. Like the inquiries that started coming in were like more service-based businesses who knew they needed to put themselves out there to build rapport with their clients. So I started getting bookings from like florists or copywriters or graphic designers. And I very quickly kind of fell in love with those clients. And then I had my son.
Yeah.
It's quite a long story. I was working in marketing and communications for a not-for-profit before I had him. So photography had been a side hustle for years. And then I had my son and I was made redundant from my job. And I kind of took it as a sign from the universe that it was time to just go all in. So I did. I kind of was really torn between continuing and doing weddings because I was doing quite well in that industry and like was getting like really great inquiries and stuff. But like I said, I sort of wasn't sure about the lifestyle of being a wedding photographer and a mum. But I sort of hedged my bets and I rebranded Sophie Timothy to Sister Scout, and I kept my Sophie Timothy photography going, but sort of shifted more to families and the occasional wedding. But I think when I rebranded to Sister Scout, which was, I think 3 years ago, I forget.
Sometime around.
3, maybe. Yeah. My son's turning 4 in December. It must be around, 2.5 years ago. I just feel like I finally felt at home in my business. And I think it was partly the branding and just kind of like, I think with my wedding and family photography business, I'd had this false belief that I needed to be kind of like fancy and like not corporate, but like attract, because family photography is kind of a luxury, like, and I wanted to price it high enough to live off that income. I was like, I've got to like look more professional than I am and be fancy. And Sister Scout was kind of an afterthought. Like my graphic designer kind of just did it quickly and didn't put in as much effort as she did with my Sophie Timothy stuff. And it was just funny because I was like, actually, I really resonate with this, like the kind of fun and the playfulness of, because my brand colors are like pink and blue. And the whole scout thing, like I did Girl Guides for 18 years. So I really resonate with that. And she did like a little scout icon for me, which I don't use anymore. But it was just so different from my other brand, which was really formal. And like austere. So I think I just finally felt at home. And
amazing.
Then, things kind of grew from there.
Awesome. And so you said you had a graphic designer who helped you with that stuff. What made you decide to get a designer instead of doing it yourself? And was that like?
Yeah, I think it was part of like wanting to take my business seriously. So I had my first logo was done in Canva like 8 years ago. And it was terrible. And then I like got a graphic designer to like slightly improve it for me, but she really wanted to strip it back and start all over, and I was like, no. Typical like working with friends, I didn't give her enough creative control. And I think I was still developing my own taste as well, and had no idea. Like I was, early to mid 20s, like I just didn't really know what I wanted or what my brand was at that point. And then like when my wedding photography started to take off a bit more, I did engage another designer who did more of a hand-drawn kind of logo, but he didn't supply any like other stuff. Like he didn't provide me with a style guide or a font or anything. It was just a logo, which was like a cute logo, but looking back, I think to really be professional, like you kind of need the full deal. So so when it came to rebranding and relaunching after I'd had my baby, I was like, nah, I'm going all in, just gonna do it all. And I found Amber Ladd, who is based in Victoria, and she was kind of like still working under another designer but just starting out on her own. And I got like, I'm so lucky I found her at that point because she's now like inundated with
Yeah.
inquiries and has an enormous backlog. And yeah, it's just kind of somewhat of a cult designer, like Squarespace web designer and graphic designer. And yeah, because I worked with her so early on, she's just been so generous towards me and really loved working on my brand with me. So yeah, I'm really grateful to have worked with her. And she is like such a passionate advocate for typography. So I feel really lucky to have had that contribution to my brand. Like I wouldn't have valued it probably as much if she hadn't kind of really taught me that stuff.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And did she do your most recent rebrand as well?
Yeah. So I think she kind of felt like, because Sister Scout had always just been, it was supposed to be like the side project. And then when it became the main thing, she was like, we never really did a full brand for you. Like, I just gave you some logos and like one font, but I feel like we need to really build this out and like make it really reflect you and where your business is now, instead of it just being this kind of, oh yeah, we'll do this on the side. So yeah, before she had her baby, she very generously set aside some time to rebrand Sister Scout, which I'm so grateful for. Like, she's just such a legend.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so that's interesting that like she came to you to suggest a rebrand, but were you already feeling kind of like, I think I need that, and that was just a last push, or were you like, I didn't really know?
I was still stoked with what she'd done
Yeah.
originally. She, as the designer, felt like she wanted to really honor, I think, her own work
Yeah.
and also my brand, and just kind of bring it to the level that she was happy with.
Yeah.
Such a perfectionist that she is. Yeah, so I was kind of like, are you sure? Like, do you really think we need to do this? And I think she kind of pushed me over the line.
Yeah.
And then once we got started, like with the mood board and stuff, I was like, yes. So yeah, but initially I was like, no, like it's all fine. What are you
Yeah.
doing? And she also, like just gave the website a whole refresh as well, because she's multi-talented. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah, and your website looks like amazing. Now it's like so good.
Thank you. I should say as well, like Amber's been on maternity leave, and while she's on maternity leave, I've also engaged Nicole from January Made, who helped build out some of my newer pages for like my mentoring and like my service offering pages. And I've also done some work with Jenna Marie, who has done some of my social tiles. So
Cool.
yeah, I've sort of used a few different people in the last 12 months to really help. I don't know. I just am so, like, I'm such a fan of outsourcing and going like, I'm not the expert, like you guys know what you're doing. Please do this for me. Yeah,
I love that. I think it's as creatives, it can be quite difficult to like let go and let other people kind of take hold of your little baby and create things for it. But so I think it's awesome that you're like, no, please take it.
Yeah, it's taken a while, but I'm now a real big fan of using specialists.
Yeah,
because like there's a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, similar to like trying to do your own brand photos or whatever, like it's really hard to take your own photos, or to get your like boyfriend or girlfriend to like take your photos.
The Instagram boyfriend.
Yeah, use an Instagram filter and hope for the best. Like, yeah, there's a reason people do what they do, and usually the investment pays off. So I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, I love that. And so how do you feel about your brand now that it's like all redone and all super badass and amazing? How do you feel now?
Yeah, I feel really proud of it, and I feel like it feels like a really it feels really aligned to who I am and who I like, what the brand is and my values. And I think I feel like I can step out with confidence as a business owner, which I think is a big part of like having professional branding. Like it just gives and branding photos, like it just gives you that confidence to be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am. And even just this week in the last couple of weeks I've been talking to Bronwyn from Promo Loco, who's in my directory. She does branded merch, and we were having a conversation about like creating some Sister Scout branded stuff. Cool. And like even just thinking about that, if I didn't have a great visual brand, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, so, true.
Like it's kind of fun to feel like, yeah, I feel like my brand looks kind of fun and nice and cool enough to put into a product and it still look good.
Yeah.
Like it's got that integrity to it. So yeah, it's
awesome.
fun.
And you know, branding is not always just about like logos and colors and things. It's about things that you just mentioned, like your values and things like that. Did you like intentionally go through that process of figuring out that stuff? How did that go?
It was definitely intentional. So I signed up with a business coach a couple of years ago, Amy from Craft Coaching and Development. And one of the first things she does is get you to nut out your values and purpose. And yeah, that was really interesting. And I think like I've worked with Amy for 2 years now. I just finished off my last session with her. Cried a tear down my face. But over that period, I've actually refined my values a couple of times. And I did some work more recently with Serena from from Speaker Studio, who runs a program called Brand Plan, which once again, I kind of felt like I'd done my purpose and my values 2 years ago, but the Scout has grown and evolved so much in that time. So, and it's become more than just about photography. So it's been good to like have my purpose and my values like evolve with that. And I definitely feel like there are different types of brands in the world, but I think I really love working with other businesses who have purpose behind them and strong values. Like that really makes my job really satisfying when I get to work with people who are really clear on that. And I guess it's about what motivates you at the end of the day and how you kind of want to operate.
Yeah, definitely. And how has it been kind of transitioning from being just, you know, taking photos and being all about brand photography to now like mentoring and having the directory and kind of shifting your brand to include all those new things?
Yeah, it's been like totally unexpected and not something I put in a plan at all. Like Amy from Craft would laugh if she heard this because for about 9 months she was trying to get me to write a business plan. I was just like, I'm allergic to this kind of thing. I'm very much a like just go with my gut kind of business owner. But yeah, that I guess the whole community side of Sister Scout began when a couple of years ago on just before International Women's Day, I sort of just felt like I wanted to run an event for other female business owners. And so, put that out there and like totally unexpectedly sold 100 tickets. Amazing. And was like, what is going on? I think it was largely the quality of the panel that I brought together. Like they were really great people. So they brought their people. But after that, people were like, so when's your next event? Like, and I had not at all thought about it as being an ongoing thing, but I guess I caught the bug and I sort of could see that there was a bit of a gap in the market, so to speak, for events that were like actually coming from a place of like authenticity and I don't know, more than just networking. Like I hate that word, the N word as I call it, and it kind of makes me gag a bit. So like I guess I wanted to put on events that had actual purpose behind them and like meat and like things for people to actually take away and implement, whether that's personally or in their business or both. So over time I've just kind of fallen into that. And then I suppose like, you know, through Instagram, which is such a powerful platform, there's just been this community that's kind of popped up somewhat organically around Sister Scout, and like past clients of mine working with other past clients of mine, and kind of that symbiotic sort of relationship that happens. And then I think I'd always sort of thought about what about a directory, like what, because people were constantly asking me for recommendations for service providers, because I guess they knew I worked with a lot of people. But and I was like, oh, maybe should I? And then I saw COVID kind of hurtling towards us at a rate of knots, and I was like, just do it, Sophie. So that's I launched the directory back in March. And having been like, oh, I don't think anyone will sign up, it's done really well. I mean, I think it's been a bit of a strange time to launch something where people have to pay on a regular basis because obviously everyone's struggling at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, the feedback has been, it's been really great to be part of a community. So
yeah. It's probably, there's, now's the best time. Everybody needs community right now, we need to feel not alone, and that a lot of other people are going through similar things to us, unfortunately. But it's nice to have a community of people around.
totally. Yeah, I know that I have leaned on the small business community so much. Like my pals in business are some of my best pals, and they're the ones that, we have DM groups where we just like vent to each other or share new ideas or like ways of seeing things. And if it wasn't for them, like I'd be probably a mess. So
Yeah.
super grateful for that community.
Yeah, for sure. And you said that Instagram has been great for kind of cultivating community around Sister Scout. Do you think that came from that just being part of your values and what you were putting out there and talking about community, or how do you think that kind of happened?
Yeah, I've thought about this. I don't really know if I can explain it. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I think like when people ask me this kind of thing, I guess I just come back to like showing up as your real self. I think there's something about that, and kind of like being vulnerable and authentic online. I think it's somewhat refreshing. And I guess having particular values / bugbears or like things that I like am passionate about and talk about kind of on the regular, whether that's like lately I've been talking about body image or body positivity or size inclusivity or self-love, self-acceptance, self-care, like all those kind of things that I suppose I've become known for talking about because that's what I want to talk about because I'm passionate about it. So I suppose naturally you kind of like alienate some people with those conversations, but then there's a whole lot of other people that are like, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
And yeah, like having like my best pals in business are probably the ones with whom I have the most shared values. Like, yeah, like I don't even know, but they're just great people. But I think it's the values that really hold the community together.
Yeah.
And I suppose like running events that also align with those values. Like I got Megan Luscombe to come and speak about understanding self-sabotage. That was like my last event before COVID. Like it was a pretty full-on event, but it kind of attracts a certain kind of person who's interested in self-development and personal development and like being real and working through their shit. And I guess like if you don't shy away from those things, then as I say, like you're going to repel some people, but you're going to attract other people who are into that. So I think that's where the strength of the community comes from, because people kind of know what you stand for rather than just flip-flopping around a bit.
And I think it's awesome just being like, these are my values, and like you said, it might alienate people, but those people are probably not the people you want to hang out with and talk to anyway, right? They're probably they're not probably not your people anyway, so it's fine.
And I think like in terms of photography, like I think it's somewhat, I mean I didn't ever plan to like stand out or anything, but I think maybe it's somewhat unusual for a photographer to like speak about that stuff or like put themselves out there. Like often photographers are a bit more like, I'm just going to share my photos and book me because I take nice photos, or I'm a really technically proficient photographer, or I'll make you look pretty or something. Whereas I think maybe because that's not my vibe, and I'm a bit more like, I want the real you to come through and like, here's the real me. Like there's a kind of an element of an exchange of vulnerability there. And because people know I stand for certain things, like they come knowing that, and then they sort of expect a certain experience rather than just photos. Like I think people, I hope that it's a somewhat like transformative process for them getting their photo taken, because hopefully I can create that safe space for them to feel like they can lean into their uniqueness and their power.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, from seeing your photos, I think there definitely is a certain kind of magic in them, and that people like just do seem like their whole full selves in the photos that you take. And they're so, I see so many pictures of people doing like weird things in your photos, and they're just having fun, having a great time. And like, I think that's a great testament to like you and your brand and your experience, and being able to then make them feel okay to do that and to be themselves. So
Thanks,
yeah.
Holly. That's really
No,
nice.
it's awesome.
I really hope that's the case for people. I mean, I'm sure not everyone has the same experience, but I think the ones who do have a positive experience are the ones that do kind of take that little bit of a leap, and we somehow find like a dynamic between us that works. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
think, well, with photography, I feel like there has to be some sort of element of like trust with your photographer, right?
Yeah.
To bring out
Yeah.
the best in you, especially if you're someone like me who doesn't really like getting their photo taken and doesn't really know what to do. And the best photos I've ever
Oh,
had taken
100%.
have been with photographers who just like make me laugh and tell me to do stupid things, and like, people that I trust that will let me just be my goofy, stupid self.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And yeah, it's interesting you say that. Like, I think probably like 99% of my clients are like, I hate having photos taken. And I always remind them of that. Like, there's very, very few people in the world who like to have their photo taken,
Yeah.
and they're probably narcissists. So
Yeah.
you're not alone. Like, don't worry, everyone finds this terrifying. Even like the people who are the most conventionally like pretty people or whatever
Yeah.
are like shit scared of having their photo taken. So we're all in the same boat. I mean, I'm meant to be having my photo taken. I was meant to have it taken a week or so ago, but we're in full lockdown here in Melbourne. So it's been pushed out to November, but like I'm terrified. And I'm like, yeah, body positivity, accept yourself. And I'm still like, oh. So
Well, that's good to hear.
we're all on a journey.
Yeah, for sure. And so, even though we are all terrified of having our photos taken, and we freak out a little bit, obviously you and I are both big believers that brand photography is important and something that's really powerful. But, tell me a little bit about why you think that branding photography is important and something we should be doing as business owners or creatives or whatever.
Yeah, I guess I think particularly for service providers in particular, especially if you're working one-on-one with people, like there's just so much trust involved in that relationship. And I think in the same way that showing up on your stories is a way to build trust, like so is having brand photos that can really kind of build that trust before people have even booked in with you. Um, and I think it's a really helpful way to communicate your values visually too. Like, it is a cliche, but a photo does say 1,000 words or whatever. And yeah, I think also it can like you can use photos to kind of communicate values in a way that is kind of subversive too, which is kind of something I'm a bit new to and interested in. But yeah, I think like, over the years, photography, I think, has been used to, in some ways, oppress women. So I think if we can use photography in a way to like liberate women, that's really cool. So that's probably not really relevant to your question,
no,
but
I'm here for that.
it's not really about why we should get branding photos done, but I think there's part of putting yourself in the position where like you can use it as an empowering experience rather than an oppressive experience can be really great. And I don't know, I think it can also just be like a celebration of where you're at and your business and how far you've come.
Cool.
Like, sometimes I have people come to headshot days. I do headshot days once a month where people come and just have a 15-minute kind of snap with me. But recently I had a woman who just turned 50 who was like, this is my present to myself. And I just like loved that. So, and she was in a corporate job, but she was wanting to move out of that into her own thing. And so I don't discount that, like, part of it is just standing in yourself and in your power and just owning that. completely unrelated to business, but
so
I think it can be
important.
a good experience.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I never really thought about it as like a celebration. But I love that. And I guess like it's a cool, if you do have branding shoots quite regularly or like once a year or once every couple of years or however often you do that, it's a cool like way to see how far your business has come, right? And a different snapshot
Yeah.
of your life or your career or your business throughout those different shoots.
Yeah, totally. I think it does capture that evolution in the same way that like getting your branding done, like
Yeah.
graphic design done every few years, you're like, oh, okay, moved on from
Yeah.
that. Glad we're in another place now
Yeah.
or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
good. I feel like people should do the combo, do both. Every year, a couple of years, a few years, update both.
That's
Yeah.
right. Oh, the other thing I didn't say, which is probably really obvious, but I'll say it anyway, is like, you know, if you're on social media, like it's a hungry beast, like you need content.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
photos are just a really good way to keep that beast satisfied. But also I think like having your own set of photos means that you can really craft them around the story you want to tell,
Yeah.
like rather than using stock photography. And it creates a much more powerful story and an authenticity around what you're doing, instead of just using stock photos. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty big advocate for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know like I am doing this podcast obviously, and I have new episodes every week that I have to create graphics for and use photos for. So I'm like powering through my bank of photos. So it's so
Yeah.
handy to have like having a bank of your own photos so that you know like anything you create is going to be on brand and telling the right story that you want to tell and sharing your values and all those amazing things. It's so helpful.
Yeah. Yes, especially if you're doing that kind of stuff, like, and you're always needing
Yeah.
graphics. Um, Actually, in lockdown, because I haven't been able to do my face-to-face work, I've offered a bit of, not a lot, but some flat lay kind of from home shoots for service
Yeah.
providers, and it's been cool to see the people using those, like in Facebook groups or whatever, to put text over. And
Yeah.
um, I wish I had enough time in the week to like do it all the time, but I think, it's just really great for people to have a bank of photos that they can draw on, um, just from a pragmatic side of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Okay, so since you have started Sister Scout, started way back when you were doing weddings and things like that, and then you've branded it several times throughout the journey. But what do you think has been the best part about branding your passion and turning what you loved into a business?
Oh, like what's the best thing about small business life? Is that what you mean? Or what's the best thing
Just about
about
turning your passion into your business.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I think with Sister Scout, it's been the satisfaction of just meeting really amazing people doing awesome things, and um, being a small part of their journey towards like really growing what they do and growing as people.
Mm,
That's been really satisfying. Um, and I guess from the photography side of things, like being my own boss and keeping my own timetable and the freedom and flexibility that comes with that is really awesome. Like I don't know if I could ever
yeah.
go back to an office job. God forbid, what will I do when my body breaks? I don't know, but pivot again, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
But I just I don't know. I feel very lucky to be working in an area that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And what do you think has been kind of the biggest lesson that you've learned about branding your passion along the way?
Oh, biggest lesson. I think just like the power of being yourself and stripping back all the shoulds and the kind of stuff that we tell ourselves that we need to be, or the person we need to be. It wasn't until I really truly stepped into who I am as a person and kind of owned that. It wasn't until I did that that my business actually grew properly,
Yeah.
and flourished. So I think that's been a huge lesson and blessing. Like it's just given me so much freedom and sense of I don't know, just yeah, like a good vibe about like,
Yeah.
I'm actually able to be myself and still like people want to book me. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's just so much fear and shame around like comparing ourselves to other people and feeling like, I'm not like them or whatever. But it wasn't until I was like, stuff that, I'm just going to be me and put myself out there and just do things my way, that it turned out like a whole lot of people were into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the more you can kind of do things with authenticity, the more people can see that. So yeah, and then you find your people.
Yeah, amazing. And the things that maybe you think are, comparing yourself to someone else, are the things that are going to make you stand out and make you special and make people want to work with you as opposed to someone
Exactly,
else.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So in my purpose statement now, I talk about like encouraging people to lean into their uniqueness.
Cool.
Because I think that's just so important. Like the last thing we need is a whole lot of people who are the same. So yeah. The world needs diversity.
Yes. We can all embrace our weirdness and it'll be a great time.
Yeah, that's right. Embrace the weird.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Well, do you want to tell the people where they can find you online and maybe what you've got going on they can check out?
Yeah, sure. So www.sisterscout.studio is my website, and that you can find my portfolio and my services there. And the Hood, the directory that I launched in March, is there, and that's open to anyone to join wherever they live. They just have to sign up to the Sister Scout Pledge, which is a set of like, I guess, values that the directory is bound by. But other than that, there's really no rules. So yeah, the directory is something anyone can join up to at any point. There's no like, it's always open.
Cool.
So I'd love to see some more people on there, particularly people in industries that maybe aren't represented yet. Like we've just got our first lawyer.
Cool.
We've got an estate planner. We've got, I think we're missing like an IP lawyer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just like, I'd love to see, female tradies or something.
Yeah.
Like I just really want to see that directory expand. So,
love
keen for that. And what else? Oh yeah. On Instagram, I'm just Sister Scout _ that's
awesome. Well, I'll leave all those links related to the podcast or video or blog, wherever you're taking in this content, so everybody can listen to that. And if you happen to be an IP lawyer,
there's an opening
please
for you in
jump
the
on the Hood. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sophie. This has been awesome. Just like personally myself to connect with you and to hear your story and hear more about your process of your business. Like I love hearing about where it all came from. And I think people are going to love hearing from you. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Holly. I wish I could ask you all these questions now.
Maybe you got to start a podcast.
Yeah, I used to work in radio, so it would fit.
Yeah, you got the experience. Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Brand Your Passion and choosing to spend some time with me learning about branding, business, and all things creativity. You can find more episodes just like this one at blackandwhitestudios.nz/brand your passion. If you liked this one, you can tap that subscribe button so that you're notified about every new episode. And if you've got a spare second, I would love it if you could leave a review on iTunes or wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. I would love to hear from you and hear about how you're enjoying the podcast. If there were some helpful goodies in this episode for you, it would mean the world to me if you could screenshot your podcast player on your phone right now, hop over to Instagram or Twitter and tag me at Black and White Studios. That's at BLCKWHT Studios. By subscribing and reviewing and sharing, you're helping me to reach more creators just like you so that together we can make the world a more creative place, one brand at a time. I really can't achieve this mission without you, so your support means the world. I'll talk to you in the next episode, but until then, keep creating.